It really was no big deal. My husband was looking at pictures of our morning. I had taken my mother to sit along the lake bluff of Lake Michigan. And I had taken my son with me, and we had picked her up, and it was a beautiful day, and the sun was hitting us, and I caught the wind blowing my mother's hair, and not even a cheap phone camera could ruin the moment. So he's looking through these pictures, and my mother is in hospice, which means she has a wheelchair, which means she has to be lifted in and out of places. And he wants to know who got her there. So he says, "How did your mother get there?" My son says, "Mom did it." My husband says, "You're kidding." He says, "Nope. Did you forget she's Colombian?" That's the answer my kids give to everything that I do. She's Colombian. Now, growing up Colombian, I got to see what that meant. My mother was an immigrant. She had 6 children. She was a single mother. She worked 3 jobs to give us everything. But because of that, she was hardly home, and I missed her, and I wanted her, and I wished for her. But she was working. My mother is in hospice because her kidneys are failing. The doctor says that maybe, because of her age, we'll have her for 3 more months, maybe 6. But he forgets she's Colombian too. So 18 months later, we are at Lake Michigan sitting on the bluff. I take my mother to these places, and we're enjoying our days together. And on this last day, I take her over to the wishing fountain in front of hospice. There's a fountain, and when you're an immigrant, you don't know what's Colombian, and you don't know what's American, and you think everybody does things the way you do, but we can't pass a fountain without throwing in coins and saying our wishes out loud. So we park in front of the fountain before I take her back up to her room, and I hand her some coins, and she throws her coins in the fountain, and she shouts, "Hawaii!" And she does it with such force that I don't know that if she's really pissed off because she never got to go to Hawaii. And I don't want to get her more pissed off because she's dying. So I take my coin and I say, "Hawaii!" just in case. So we make our wishes, and we're throwing in our coins, and we're tossing, and we're like maniacs, and we're laughing. And I look at her, and I fall in love with my mom. I have not had a chance to be with her my entire life, and I have her. And I don't even need to make any more wishes. I have my wish. I've got her. But she keeps throwing in her coins, and she's got this innocence and exuberance in her face. And she's talking, and all of a sudden she looks at me and she says, "Do you sing and dance?" And I don't have the heart to tell her that not only do I not sing and dance, but I'm really bad at both of them. But she wants me to say yes, and she looks at me like I have to say yes, and I go, "Yeah. I even do shows." And she says, "You look like you could." So I take her back up to her room, and she is doing so good that I decide tomorrow we can have another big day. I'm going to take her shopping with my youngest son for back to school. I kiss her on the forehead, I take her back, and I tell her I'll be back in the morning. 9 o'clock, be ready. At 8:20, my phone rings the next morning at my house. And it's the hospice center. And the only other time they've called is when she refused to have a male nurse give her a bath. But I pick up the phone, and I don't start breathing until I hear her in the background. And she's alive. But she's screaming, "No, no." The nurse says, "Your mother's sick, you have to come." The hospice center is only 8 minutes away, so I rush over, and as soon as the elevator doors open, I can hear her. I go in her room, the nurse says, "Your mother's kidneys are done. We need to start the comfort procedure." Now, months ago, my mother has signed these forms asking for a comfort procedure, meaning when things end, there is to be no hospital, and we just let things go. But she signed those papers when she used to be sick, and she's not sick anymore. We were just at the lake, and we're going to go shopping today. So when I see the nurse lean into my mother and say, "Soon, Lenore, you will have your relief, soon," I do something that I still can't believe. I step in between the nurse and my mother, and in our secret language, Spanish, so that the nurse can't understand, I say, "Tell her no. Tell her you're going shopping and tell her no. Tell her you want the hospital. Tell her you changed your mind." My mother grunts, "Hospital." I say to the nurse, "You heard that? She wants to go to the hospital." The nurse says, "You can't. This is her wish." And I think how I had my wish for the past 18 months. And I know I was only supposed to have my mother for 6 months, but I have her for 18, and it has made me greedy, and I am ready to beg, borrow, and steal for one more minute with her. But I turn, and in English this time, I say, "It's okay. You can go." I ask the nurse how long my mother will have after the morphine starts. She says 2 days. 6 days later, my mother is still with us because why does everyone keep forgetting we're Colombian? When she passes away, I'm there, and I want to say something, but I become a little 4-year-old, and I'm calling her back, "Mama, Mama." The nurse puts her hand on my arm, and she says, "Just think of the life you gave her, that she found it so hard to leave." Thank you.